This is the capsule holder for a well-known coffee machine company. They make fine coffee and it's broken, so I'm going to be using this for one of my builds. I'm not going to name the name of the coffee or the coffee maker people, simply because I'm not sponsored by them. What else do I have on the shelf? As on the shelf, I meant on the table. And this is my old Xbox One that decided to die on me a few months ago, and I've never had the courage to open it up and take it apart, but I thought now would be the correct time to do that. So I'm just, as you can see, collecting all the parts. There's all the parts in there, and there's the console. So let's start building. I sounded so sad when I showed you the carcass of the Xbox One. Fear not, I managed to get a PS4 about 4 or 5 months before the PS5 came out, but nevertheless, I still got a PS4. So as you can see, I'm just marking bits out because I hadn't really planned it. It was just where the bits and pieces were going to take me, and at this point I thought that was going to be some sort of walkway for the figures, but it didn't turn out that way once everything started getting built. So here I am just going through the Xbox One pieces, and I find a couple of fans that I think I can use for this build. So as a child I watched the first 3 Star Wars movies and then progressively got sadder and sadder as all the other films came out. The Mandalorian, on the other hand, that redeemed itself, but I'm not one for watching the ones where George Lucas has tinkered and tampered with, so I'm going to base this one off the second one, which was the Empire Strikes Back, I believe. And I kind of figured that everybody was going to be making some sort of fancy spaceship that I could never compete with, so I went the total 360 way, and I'm going to build some sort of cargo barge. I'm probably going to be showing my age here, but I remember when I had the tape copy of the Star Wars films, and then when my kids came along years later, I got it again on DVD, and I was horrified to see that Guido, I think his name was, pulled the gun first on Han in the bar, and that never happened. And that was my first introduction to what the hell was George Lucas thinking of. And by original, I mean it's not a copy of any sort of ship from any of the Star Wars films. It's just one that I think would be in there in the background. Anyway, back to the build. So I've used these missiles, and I'm just going to use these as the bits that are going to stick out either side. I was originally going to use these as some sort of standing bit so the figures could stand on. I'm saying figures, I couldn't even get any Star Wars figures off Amazon or anywhere in time for this build, and when I did find them, the prices they were asking was absolutely extortionate. So I'm going to stick the platforms either side of the main ship. And then again, I was toying with the idea of putting wooden planks on them, and then changed it all to use some more of the granny grating to make it a little bit more metallic. And I want to give a big shout out to everybody that's got involved. So that's Scratch My Junk, Thombiezoo, Johnny Simpleton, Emerson Ward's Crafting, Qjin Comic, Silver's Scratch Build, Morrigan's Creations, Mr. Good Works, hope I got that one right, and the Rusty Craftsman, to name a few. You guys simply jumped on board and embraced this fun build. So I'm going to pass it over to you guys now. Somebody needs to suggest something that we can do for March, April time. And like it said at the start of the video, this is the part 1. Part 2 will be probably dropping on the Friday, along with Scratch My Junk and everybody else's builds. So don't forget, once you've seen one, you've got to jump over to somebody else and watch theirs. They're awesome builds. And yes, you are seeing correctly, those are sails. I decided to use sails. Like I said, I was gone total 360 and was thinking total left field on this build, because I knew everybody else would be using space rockets and stuff. So I thought this would just be a cargo ship that would just be flying along the planet, low level, just dropping off goods here, there and everywhere. So we're coming up to the end of the part 1 of the 2-part Star Wars build-off. Again, thanks to everybody that got involved. If you like what you saw, hit all the buttons just to help make the channel grow, and hopefully you'll come back on Friday and see everybody's builds. Until then, laters. And before anybody says anything, Han Solo shot first. That's not bad tasting coffee.